Science says that if I pedal like this, I can burn up to 6% more energy than if I pedal like this. Now, burning more energy sounds awesome, right? Like a free weight loss hack. But does it just make you more tired for real life? See, I'm a cyclist, but I'm also a dad. My performance isn't just about watts and KOMs, it's about having enough gas in the tank after the ride to chase babies and kids, haul groceries, and not be a complete zombie for the rest of the day. So, I'm putting this to the ultimate real-world test to find out what's actually better for the everyday cyclist who happens to have a life to live after the ride. Is it a racing heart from spinning fast, or is it the trashed legs from grinding huge gears? The answer might just change how you ride. If you've been around cycling for more than 5 minutes, you've heard the term spin to win. It's the idea that pedaling faster, a high cadence, like the pros that you see on TV, is the secret sauce to being a better cyclist. You see the pros on the climbs, their legs just a blur, and they look like they're floating up the mountain. But is that high cadence really the best way for everyone to ride? Well, the science is a little bit more complicated and way more interesting. The power you make on a bike is basically just an equation of force times speed, or in bike terms, torque and cadence. Torque is how hard you're pushing on the pedals. Cadence is how fast you spin them in revolutions per minute or RPMs. This means that you can hit the same power number, say 200 watts, in two completely different ways. You can either mash a big high gear at a low cadence of 60 RPMs, or you could spin a much easier gear at 90 RPMs, which in turn needs less force but more pedal strokes. Basically, this choice forces a trade-off inside your body. It's a battle between two different systems, your muscles and your heart and lungs. When you're grinding a low cadence, you're hitting your muscles hard. I call this the muscle tax. Every single push is a big muscular effort. It calls in more of your powerful, fast twitch muscle fibers. These guys are great for short bursts of power, but they get tired pretty fast and chew through your stored energy. Think of it like doing a heavy set of leg presses and how you feel after that. On the other hand, if you spin a high cadence, you're shifting that load to your cardiovascular system. This is the cardio tax. Your heart rate is going to jump and you're going to start breathing harder because your body is using all that extra energy just to move your leg up and down super quick. This is often called the internal work. It saves your muscles from that heavy, grinding feeling, but it definitely asks a lot more from your heart and lungs. And that's where that energy burn number comes in. Studies have shown that at the same power, spinning faster at a cadence around 90 to 100 RPMs can jack up your oxygen use and therefore your total energy burn by roughly 4 to 6% compared to pedaling at a slower 80 RPMs. So from a pure calorie burning perspective, spinning faster burns more fuel. But here's the million-dollar question for us amateurs. Which one is going to leave you more wiped out for the rest of the day? To get a real-world answer, I've set up a simple little experiment just on me. It's not going to be published in a science journal, but it'll test what actually matters to me and probably to a lot of you guys. So, here's the plan. 2 rides on separate days, plenty of rest in between. I'm going to control the most important thing, power, using my power meter on my bike. For both of the rides, I'm going to hold a steady 160 watts for about 10 miles. For me, that's a pretty chill endurance pace. The only thing I'm changing is going to be my cadence. So, the first ride, the ride 1 is going to be the grind. I'll lock myself into a big gear, force myself to stay around 60 RPMs. This is that classic leg heavy mashing that a lot of us do when we first start riding. And on ride 2 is going to be the spin. I'll shift way down into an easy gear, keep my cadence at around 90 RPMs or so, which is closer to what you see from those experienced riders. But the rides are just part of it. The real test happens the second I get off the bike. I'm not just looking at the data. I'm paying close attention to how I feel. Are my legs heavy and burning? Am I gasping for air? Which type of effort leaves me feeling more capable of jumping back into real life? So, this is that dad data that really counts. this is it, the moment of truth, the data point you'll never find in a lab. First, let's talk about the feeling that I had after finishing that first ride, or the grind. As soon as I got off the bike, I felt that muscular fatigue. My breathing was fine, my heart rate was low, but my legs, especially my quads, felt heavy and achy. It was that distinct sensation you get after like a tough session in the weight room. The muscle tax was paid in full for sure. Now, the second ride, the spin, the difference was incredible. I got off the bike feeling winded, my heart rate was definitely higher, but my legs felt much better. They felt kind of normal. There wasn't really that same heaviness, deep muscle burn, none of that. The fatigue was systemic and all over tiredness from the cardiovascular effort, but my muscles themselves felt ready to go. I was breathing harder, but my legs weren't an issue, and I was able to head up the stairs and chase after the kids. So, what did we learn here? Let's break it down. On one hand, the science was 100% right. The high cadence ride gave me a way higher average heart rate, which points to a higher metabolic cost. I definitely burned more energy, probably in that 4 to 6% range that the scientists were expecting, just by pedaling faster at that same power. And this is because lower cadences are technically more grossly efficient. Gross efficiency is just essentially how much of that energy you burn actually turns into power at the pedals. Now, at 60 RPMs, more of my energy was pushing me forward and less was being wasted on just moving my limbs up and down. But the immediate feeling after each ride kind of showed the real story. The type of fatigue is completely different, and that's what really matters in the real world, especially when you're a parent and you got to chase after kids. The low cadence ride, while more efficient, created a ton of neuromuscular fatigue. It caused local muscle burn that made my legs feel a lot heavier and sore. But on the other hand, the high cadence ride, while being less efficient and more expensive calorie-wise, spared my muscles. The stress was on my cardiovascular system, which for most healthy people recovers from that kind of thing much, much faster than your muscles. So being out of breath for a few minutes is a lot different than having legs that feel like they've done a heavy gym session. Is there one perfect cadence? Science says no, and my little experiment kind of agrees. It totally depends on the situation. So if you're finding this whole muscle tax versus cardio tax thing useful, and if it's got you thinking about your own riding, do me a quick favor and hit that like button below. It literally takes 2 seconds, but it's a huge help for me and the channel. So, what's the big takeaway here? How do you use this for your own riding? It all comes down to managing fatigue and your goals for that specific ride. Both riding styles clearly have their place, and if you're a triathlete, this experiment shows exactly why spinning at a higher cadence is so important. You're literally paying a cardiovascular tax on the bike to save your leg muscles for that run later. Same for crit racers who need to blast out of corners over and over throughout the course. A higher cadence keeps those muscles fresh and ready to snap at those moments you need them. But for me, this experiment was more of a wake-up call. I realized that while the grind was hard, it targeted my muscles in a way that spinning doesn't. That muscle tax is also where strength gains are made. Personally, I'll be trying to incorporate a lot more low cadence workouts to try to build that specific strength throughout my rides. Ultimately, the best advice is to get comfortable riding at a bunch of different cadences, do some low cadence work at 60 to 70 RPMs to build up that muscular strength, and then practice those high cadence drills at 90, 100 plus RPMs to improve your cardiovascular fitness and efficiency. By training both ends of that spectrum, you give yourself options so you can pick the right tool for the job, whether that job is winning a race or just winning at being a dad. The coolest finding here is that your preferred cadence is usually the right place to start, but don't be afraid to play around with it. Pay attention to how you feel, not just on the ride, but then for those hours after. What's your go-to cadence? Have you noticed this difference between leg fatigue and lung fatigue? Drop your own experiences in the comments below. I really do read every single one of them. And if you want to see more videos that break down cycling science or running science or other workout sciences for the rest of us, make sure you subscribe. Now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next ride. So, maybe there's something to this. Oh, I'm going too fast again.